Well, Matt, thanks so much for coming out and having this conversation.
I'm super excited. I've never done a podcast before. So
yeah, well, you're one of the guys that is really helping us kick this off.
Oh,
that's
exciting.
Yeah, the name of the podcast is Local Business Breakthrough, and
I love it.
And we want to celebrate local businesses. And we want to have local business leaders and owners on so they could share their story. They could share, what they've learned, the challenges that they've overcome, the why they're even doing any of this stuff, so that it could be encouraging to other people that are thinking about starting businesses.
I love it.
And so
what a great podcast.
Yeah, I see a lot of stuff out there for like the huge, mega billion type of companies that are out there, you know. But I look at our community and I see that it's made up of the small businesses.
I feel every community is, yeah.
The small businesses are the ones that are really keeping these communities going.
Absolutely.
And so, like, I want to celebrate that. I want to encourage that.
I love it.
So thanks for being here, man.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm very excited.
So yeah, just give us a little introduction. Who is Matt? What does Matt do?
So my name is Matt Duchan, and I own Core Health. We're here in Simi Valley.
Yeah, Core Health, the maker of these
delicious
these
smoothies.
amazing
we
drinks.
Got some other pictures up there.
I'm not being selfish, being the only one to drink right now.
In all
Matt
fairness,
actually brought this for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
in all fairness, I did make you my favorite flavor.
Ooh.
So that's a peanut butter praline crunch.
Yeah.
And it looked a lot better an hour ago. So
I like the crunch though. Like
you did get some of the crunch. It didn't melt inside. Okay.
They travel up the straw.
Yeah.
No, totally, dude.
So yeah, we make healthy meal smoothies and clean energy drinks and brand new acai bowls. And we're trying to work in some other like fun things that we're looking to do. Everything's super healthy.
Yeah.
So like your smoothie, the way I made it is a full meal, 24 grams of protein, 7 grams of fiber. Actually, yours has 29 grams of protein.
Oh, wow.
7 grams of fiber, 21 different vitamins inside. It's really designed to be a full healthy meal. So,
wow. So it's not just a
breakfast
drink
or lunch. Yeah, that's not just a drink. And then the other drink that I brought is a clean energy drink that's made to give you good natural energy, powerful antioxidants. It's hydrating, which teas and coffees are typically dehydrating, and it burns body fat too, and has some aloe for your digestion.
That's amazing. I could use some of that. The burning body fat. I could do that.
Me too. That's why I have this.
Yeah.
That's who we are at Core Health and what we do. We're a local-owned business. I have the one here in Simi. My girlfriend runs one in the Valley. We have a couple more in the Valley as well. And so we're growing and looking to grow. And everything's family-owned and family-run too.
Yeah. So you're building your empire. That's awesome.
Sure. I like it. It's exciting. Yeah, for sure.
That's super cool, dude.
Yeah.
So, so take me back. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So take me back.
To 12 years ago when we opened.
To when Matt was like, hey, you know what? I think this entrepreneurial journey type of thing is something that I want to do.
It kind of happened while I don't know how far back we want to go, but when I was a kid, we all had our chores, right?
Yeah.
And so in my family, we would get our list of chores, and each chore was assigned a certain amount of money based off of how difficult the chore was. Well, after we finished our chores, and we typically did them on Sunday, after we finished our chores, my mom would come and check the chore to make sure that it was clean enough up to her standards. So she realized that I was going to be an entrepreneur when I started hiring my sister to do my chores. And I would pay her like a portion of what I would get as far as the chores go.
Oh my goodness. Dude.
And then my mom eventually found out and got really upset with me. And my response was, "What's wrong? The work's getting done and you're paying the same amount. Like I don't know what the problem is."
Yeah.
And she was trying to teach me like diligence and keep the place clean and all kinds of stuff. But I realized that I really just wanted to, be a kid, and I didn't really want to do this work. My sister was okay getting paid less. So
and your sister made more money than if she just did her chores.
If she just did her chores,
yeah. Everybody's happy.
Everybody's happy except for my mom who found out. So that's how it was when I was a kid.
So, but like in your household, was there anybody else in your family that kind of had that same kind of like mindset and perspective?
Yeah. It was just my sister and I as far as the kids go.
Okay, yeah.
My mom worked a 9 to 5 at the time. And my dad has always had kind of an entrepreneurial spirit. He is an accountant by trade, financial advisor, and he's got his own practice. At the time, he had his own business. And so I kind of learned it from there, I would say.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, growing up, my dad, he had his own like graphic design advertising business. So I kind of like grew up, around the idea of that, like, hey, you could work for other people, but you could also work for yourself.
Yeah. I feel that the idea of working for yourself is the greatest reward, because at the end of the day, you can only give yourself the credit. You can also only fire yourself, right? Like at the end of every day, I'm like, okay, if tomorrow was the same thing that happened, would I hire myself again or would I fire myself?
Yeah.
And so that's how I can consistently grow my business. Like, did I do what I really needed to do today? And that self-reflection helps a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you're ultimately the one that's responsible.
Exactly.
Like you can't play victim.
No.
Because
Absolutely
even
not.
if stuff goes wrong that seems as though it's not in your control, it's like, no, like, well, what is it that I could have done?
There's always something more that I could have done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some other way someone that I could have texted or messaged out, or there's always something that I could do. Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of like reframes like problems, right?
Absolutely.
As opportunities.
Opportunities to learn.
It's
Absolutely.
like, hey,
exactly.
like, okay, this happened. Like, how do we move forward?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Always a solution to be found, for sure.
So as a child, you kind of had this inclination to like delegate.
And then
hey, let me buy back some time.
Yeah.
Get some more cash into my sister's pocket. I'll keep a little bit, skim some off the top.
Yeah.
And
then I got to play more,
Yeah.
As a kid, that's what mattered to me, for sure. And then as I grew up, throughout elementary school, I would make these spin art paintings and try and sell them at school. And then I was also in Boy Scouts, where you had to, they sold popcorn, but in my troop we sold Seas candies. So we were always fundraising for that kind of stuff. And I always understood the idea of buying something, putting a service into it, and selling it for a profit. Although I didn't know how to word it, but that's kind of what it was about. And then going into college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I took my general studies at Pierce, and then I kind of just found my way into accounting. It was not something that I overly loved, but I was decently good at it. And then I went to CSUN, transferred over. And then I found this Herbalife thing.
How long ago was this? Because I went to CSUN too.
This was 2010 that I found Herbalife.
Okay.
So I was a junior at CSUN at the time.
Oh, okay.
It took me a little while to get through Pierce,
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah, I was on the 4-year plan over at Moore Park College.
Yeah. So you know the feeling.
Yeah. What am I gonna do? And that was me. Like I was going back and forth between graphic design and music.
Okay.
And like I couldn't make the decision.
I was going back and forth between taking my classes and not taking my classes.
Oh, yeah. There's that too,
Then I had eventually made it into CSUN, and I had started taking the Herbalife products, and I had amazing results right away. Like my first day on the products.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Like what was the pain that you were experiencing before Herbalife?
Yeah. So I was tired kind of all the time. I didn't know really what it was, and I used to always have all this crazy energy, and I had gained like 40 or 50 pounds between high school and where I was at in college, and I didn't know what that was about. I saw what happened to a friend of mine, and then I said, you know what? Drinking these smoothies are going to be cheaper than what I'm already doing. Because I would grab breakfast on my way to school, and then I'd have like a Subway sandwich for lunch, and then I'd come home and have dinner with my family.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided, well, if I just have the shake for breakfast and lunch, it's going to cost me less in the long run. And so I'm going to get results and save money. My first day, I had incredible energy. I had a part-time job at the time. I had incredible energy, and I got all of my work done for the whole week in 2 hours.
Wow.
Like, I just blew through my work. My boss couldn't even understand what was going on. That week that I started was the week of my midterms. So I did really well on all my midterms, but at my job, the work was kind of piling up. So my boss called me on Thursday, and he was mad.
Was this like an accounting job? What kind of a
This
job
was
it?
a job, I don't know how to say it. It was for a security company.
Oh, okay.
But I was doing all of the billing aspect. So I would take in all the information of like new accounts, and I would put that into the computer, send out all the bills, or whenever a technician would go out, I took in all of their handwritten bills that people would sign, and then I would turn it into like an actual bill and send that out to the people.
Oh, okay.
So
that was stacking up.
I was stacking up
because you were busy focusing on midterms.
That's right. And then I went in. He calls me Thursday night, and he's like, "Hey, do I need to find someone else to do this?" And I said, "No, I'll be there tomorrow." Yeah, it was that question.
Yeah.
I said, "No, I'll be in tomorrow. I'll get it all done tomorrow."
Yeah.
And I got in at like 8 o'clock. By 10 o'clock, I had it all done. All the new accounts, all my work done for an entire week.
Yeah.
Done in 2 hours. And my boss couldn't believe it. He said, "No, go check it. Make sure it's right."
Yeah.
And like, I'm the kind of person where I don't like to make mistakes. So I already check it as I go before I print and submit it. I went through, I checked it, and I got paid for the whole day. So I had like immediate like time money as far as like value back. That was my first day. My first month, I lost 10 pounds. My second month, I lost 15 pounds. I lost 40 pounds in 5 months. I gained a little bit back since then, but working back on it now. I started going to the gym a month ago, and I'm down another like 10 pounds from that.
Awesome.
But I ended up losing 40 pounds in 5 months. That's kind of what started my business, because people, friends, family, coworkers, they started asking me like, "Hey, what are you doing? Your skin looks better. You have more energy. You look amazing." And I said, I don't really know. I started drinking these shakes, and I'm down 40 pounds.
Yeah.
And so I just set them up with my coach. And then he asked me the question. He goes, "Well, these people want to buy products. Do you want to make the money, or do you want me to make the money?" And as a broke accounting student, I was like, well, I want to make the money.
Yeah. That's really cool of your coach to do that for you, man.
I mean, it makes sense as far as like how the model goes.
Yeah, totally.
And I said, well, I want to make the money. So I started working with my friends and family, and I was making an extra couple $100 a month, which paid for my products. So I was kind of getting my products for free. And then I worked my business up to about 500 and then to 1,000. And there were a couple defining moments. The first one was I went to a training where everybody was happy, they were excited, and people were hugging, and it felt really weird to me, if I'm being honest. The whole thing.
Like how big was the training? How many people were there?
They had like a hotel room, like one of those like
a ballroom or something.
The small ballrooms, not like the big one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're talking hundreds, maybe
a couple hundred at this training. It was all packed in, and everyone was sitting there like super tight.
But everybody.
And there's only kind of two things that I remember from that day.
Okay.
They would talk about what each product did, and they went kind of through the entire catalog. During the second section, the people that got results went back up on stage, and they would talk about how much money they made. So there was one person that went up on stage. She was the MC for the day. And she goes, I lost 19 pounds, dropped my cholesterol, back when we could say that. And she had a smile from ear to ear. And she goes, and last month, I made $5,000 doing this. And as a broke college student, my thought process was, wow, if I could make half of that, that would change my life.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. It'd be life-changing. And, this was 2010.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'm in. Oh, the other part that I realized was that was my second month on the products. And I just started adding in some of the digestive health stuff. When they got to the digestive health section, they started talking about what it would do. And I started it like 2 days before. So I was in the bathroom like basically the whole day.
So they were talking about it and you were experiencing
20-something years of cleaning out to go through.
My God. Man,
and so,
what a time to start that.
Right. And so my friends that I had brought, they're like, what's going on? You're like not even in the room. And I said, yeah, I started the digestive products a couple of days ago. And they're like, oh.
They knew.
So yeah, the two things that I realized from that day was get results, people notice, you make an income, and the products work. Those were the two things that I realized from that day.
Yeah.
I had already had some results, and I knew that what they said was what the products did. So that was kind of like the first defining moment.
Yeah.
And then
what was you briefly just talked about, how everybody was super friendly there.
Yes.
And so there was definitely like a culture.
There was
that
a culture. Yeah.
There.
It was
like
crazy.
how much did that have an impact on you at that time?
It really did. That's a really good point because I was
Yeah.
going to move into that. The profession that I was going for, I noticed that all of my professors, my dad, and a lot of my coworkers at my internship, nobody was happy. Everybody was stressed. Everybody that was in their 50s plus had heart attacks, multiple heart attacks at the point. And I had started this nutrition product, and I didn't want to be that person, stressed, overworked, multiple heart attacks, other health issues, and most of them were overweight. and I didn't want to be that in the future. Everybody was hung up on coffee, of course, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't like the taste of coffee, so that wasn't me. And so a few months later, after that training, I remember I was sitting in my internship, and I was just sitting there working on my computer. And at my internship, which was separate from my job, by the way, at my internship, I remember there was an accountant yelling at one of their employees, and another accountant, it was a partnership, yelling at another employee.
Yeah.
And I looked up and I looked around, and I kind of saw my future, like, this is gonna be me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna, if I stay in this profession, this is gonna be my future, and that wasn't what I wanted. It took me another couple months, and then I eventually decided that Herbalife was what I wanted to do. And my business was making, my little part-time business was making between $1,000 to $1,500. And so I put in my 2 weeks notice at my job, and just decided to really truly give it a shot.
How hard was it for you to make that decision?
Well, it took me about 8 months.
Yeah,
From starting the products to eventually deciding this was really what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So it was very difficult. The hardest conversation was the conversation I had with my parents. And I remember my father was kind of upset about it, because it would mean that I would focus on this and not on school, right? And I said, my mom just stood behind me. She's like, look, if it doesn't work out, he can go back into school. So I took a year, and I trained at a friend's location in Camarillo, and really learned what it took to run this thing.
Yeah.
And
so then your friend in Camarillo, kind of unpack that a little bit. Did they have an operation that looked similar to what it is?
Basically Core Health. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
At the time, it was called the Daily Shake. I went in and worked it to learn, and then we opened up our first. About a year later, we opened up our first location in Simi. I didn't have the funds to open it, so it was my coach with, 5 or 6 others of us opening this place, and we were all working together to build our businesses. It took me about a year to build my business up and save enough money to open up my half of Core Health. I saved up enough, put in my half, and then we were open, and that's when it got really scary.
Yeah.
It was kind
It's like it's been leading up to.
It was, yeah.
Leading up to this.
So we found the spot at Core Health, and then signed the lease, which was scary. Opened up everything, got everything started, and then
Unpack scary just a little bit.
it was like that excited, nervous.
Okay.
It was I didn't know what I was getting into. I saw that monthly rent price, which is more than I'd ever, like, that's more than I'd ever paid on my own rent, you know. I remember calculating how many smoothies it would take just to pay rent.
Yeah.
And
do you remember how many?
It was somewhere between 40 and 50 smoothies a day just to be able to pay rent by the end of the month.
Yeah.
And I remember I invested like everything that I had saved up to do this. Our first month was challenging, that we were actually open. We had a couple challenges opening too. Our first month opening was a challenge. We didn't have everything set up. We didn't have all of the suppliers in place, so we were kind of using stuff from the other location. And of course paying for it, but like it was it was like,
but it wasn't, you didn't have like your processes all set up.
Right.
And so then you were still, spread a little bit thinner than you'd want to be.
Exactly. And then a couple years later, my girlfriend jumped in, and she was a teacher, and she made a similar decision to me where like she looked around and that's not the life that she wanted to live. So she jumped in and worked with me at Core Health, and then an opportunity came up for us to open up a location with her and her partner, or her and a partner in Chatsworth. We were able to get that open. So like her and I were saving up to pay for that half, right? And then we were able to eventually buy her partner out, and now she has that one all to herself.
Yeah.
And then I was able to, remove my partner and buy him out. And then we've grown from there.
Wow.
And then COVID hit.
Oh my goodness. Before we get into COVID.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I'm just interested. I'm interested in, people that decide to get into partnerships and people that don't. It sounds like you started this with partners. It sounds like there was a financial benefit.
Yeah, 50-50 each. Yeah, just to...
But then, like it came to the point where you, like, for whatever reason, that partnership kind of went away. Can you kind of unpack that a little bit about, like, just if you don't want to get into the details, but just kind of like your perspective on partnerships, right? Like for somebody that's thinking about starting a business with some partners, like what are your perspectives with somebody that's experienced it and now is out of it?
Okay, that's a good question. I think it's very important that for partnerships, everybody has to be on the same wavelength. Like, you have to know exactly who's doing what and when, and then if something does go wrong, who's gonna take over, right? So at the time, it was just us with a few of our team members, and nobody kind of knew what each other was supposed to do. He was going to open up another location, and then I was taking on, a higher end of the role. So I just said, you know what, like, let me just take over everything. And it worked out. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
So,
yeah.
And with her partner, partnerships can either end amicably or they can have their challenges. You have one person that's more invested than the other, right?
Yeah.
Which is fair for whatever reason, right? We were able to kind of take over the differences, right? Now my girlfriend runs her own, and she's able to run it the way that she wants, and you don't have to ask another person. If you want to do something, you can just do it. Yeah. Right? Like we wanted to start making acai bowls, right? Yeah. But healthy versions.
Yeah. No, totally.
And as opposed to having to ask and figure it out, we can just do it.
Yeah.
But if you have a partner that you're on the same page with, then it's totally fine. Or if you have a silent partner that kind of just trusts you, then same idea, as long as you can just get in there and someone's got to make the decisions.
Yeah. No,
You know?
totally. Yeah, it's interesting because as I talk to business owners, just in the work that I do, especially having discovery calls and discovery meetings, there's definitely a difference between when there's only one decision maker and there's multiple.
Yes.
And especially when they're there at the same time and we're all having a conversation, and then all of a sudden there's like a inside conversation that's happening between the two.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so it's like it underscores the importance of having that clear communication, of like really setting those expectations, and that everybody understands what roles, what responsibilities that they have, and then like everybody just kind of staying in their lane.
I mean, that's true. Absolutely. Yeah. And just to add to it, like, I think partnerships absolutely can work out as long as you're on the same page about what you want. And then once you start to veer, that's when...
Then you got to have the DTR.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. So how does it feel now, man? Like, was it when you were going through that, like realizing like, hey, okay, he's going to go off in this direction. Maybe it'd be good to, for us to part our ways, you know, business wise. How did it feel to kind of get through that and beyond that, and now realize like, man, I'm in control of this whole entire thing?
Excited. And then also there was like a huge weight of like, oh, I have to do all of this now. And so that was definitely kind of eye-opening.
Yeah.
Because when you have a partnership, you can split the work. So, but when you don't have a partnership, like it's on you to get it done.
Yeah.
So everything that you were doing, now you have to do everything your partner was doing too, and then still have the business run too. You know.
So how long ago was that you?
It was right around COVID was when it
Okay.
happened. Yeah.
Okay. So then that brings us into COVID, man.
Yeah.
COVID, really strange time. All of us remember it.
Yes, of course.
Some businesses did great. Other businesses got affected. How was COVID for you guys?
It was definitely tough.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we were able to stay open because we were considered essential. I don't know what that means, but
People need healthy shakes, man.
so we definitely had to adapt. I remember we set up like an ordering table at the front door, and we had like the register all turned around. We had one person behind the counter, and we have a lot of like immunity and like kind of healthy stuff, and everybody became health conscious during COVID naturally. And people would drive up, we'd bring it to them in like the tray. Everything's completely covered and sealed and all of that. We did our best, you know.
Yeah.
I remember there was a part like close to the beginning where I was doing a lot of deliveries because people didn't even want to leave their house. They were so scared.
Yeah, totally.
And so I think it was from like 9 to like 1. I told everybody like, if you call us an order, I'll deliver it to you for free. And I didn't know what to do, you know?
Yeah.
And so we had a lot of people calling in and ordering. We have some immunity products, so that was really, really helpful during that time.
Yeah.
And people were in their house, so they wanted a treat but didn't want to leave because everyone was scared. And you know, thankfully we were able to be there for people. Our numbers definitely dropped, of course, but we were at least able to be there to be able to step up and help people. Yeah,
That's fantastic, man.
we were doing like 10. I remember I was doing like 10 deliveries a day.
Wow.
And we don't really deliver, right?
Yeah.
So,
No, you're just trying to be of service.
Yeah. It was definitely a tough time for sure.
Yeah.
And then post-COVID, during all of the like during restaurants, we didn't know what the rules were. The rules would change and then go back and then change and then go back. That I would say was even harder because in the middle of COVID, everybody kind of understood. Nobody knew what it was. Nobody knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And so we all kind of just did what we could. like towards the end of COVID, when all the rules kind of changed here in California, it felt like every week or every 2 weeks there was either a new rule or they would lighten up on a rule. And so that I would say was even harder, because even some patrons would come in and say, I thought that this was the rule, and then no, they took that one away, but now they have this rule. And yeah, there was a lot of like changes happening frequently.
Oh yeah, I remember checking the websites every week.
I got an email update every week on what new changes there were.
Yeah. Are we going into work? Are we, what do we have to do? Do we have to mask? Do we not have to mask? What's the distance that we have to remain?
At one point, it was like 10 feet between you and someone else, like within, except for your like inner circle, right? I think it was like 10 feet and then 6 feet. And then I think later on they made it like 4 and then 3. And then it was like they stopped caring.
Yeah. No, totally, man. And then like, as employees got COVID, then like, okay, well, how long do they stay home? Do the rest of us come into the office? Does everybody work
when
remotely?
Someone felt it, we never had like an outbreak where everyone had it, thankfully.
Yeah.
We had like one person that got it that wasn't feeling well, and then she stayed home for a while, and then someone else got it and stayed home, and nobody else thankfully none of us caught it like all at the same time.
Yeah. It's really good.
I got it I technically never had it. So, but my roommates caught it in the end of 2021, like September, October.
Okay.
So they caught it, tested positive. And then I wasn't feeling well. And my roommate and I, we drove to Moore Park at the time to test. And it was so weird because she tested negative and she tested positive and I tested negative. We rode in the car together.
Interesting.
And I wasn't feeling well. This was on a Thursday, and I got my result on Friday. And thankfully, I was able to schedule myself off.
Oh, good.
And then I tested again on Monday by myself, tested negative. I tested again on Thursday, tested negative. And by the time Saturday came, which was like the next time that I was supposed to be at Core Health, by the time Saturday came, I was still testing negative. And I'm like, all right, well, it's been 10 days. It was 10 days at the time.
Yep.
It's been 10 days. I've never tested positive. I'm going into work tomorrow.
And you felt fine?
I felt fine. I had like a kind of like a lingering cough.
Oh, yeah.
But whenever I get sick, like...
That's always the last thing to
whenever I don't actually get sick, I just get this weird lingering cough.
Yeah.
And...
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
So I don't get sick aside from having COVID but never testing positive for it. I haven't been sick aside from food poisoning kind of since I started the products.
Wow. That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
That really is. Yeah, me with COVID, I didn't get it until I think halfway through 2022.
Oh, wow.
And all of our kids had it, like all the rest of our family had it. But my wife and I, we never got it.
That's crazy.
And I was thinking like, man, am I like
somehow I made
immune to this?
Yeah.
And then all like out of nowhere, I didn't know anybody else that had it. I didn't know, like I woke up one morning and I just had like a sore throat, and I'm like, oh, this is weird.
Yeah.
Like what's going on? And throughout that morning, throughout the couple of hours that I'm up, it's just kind of getting worse, which it usually doesn't. Like usually it's bad.
Like once you wake up.
Yeah, when I get sick, it's bad in the morning, and then a couple of hours later, it like usually goes down, significantly. Yeah. And then at night, it comes back.
Yeah. Once you're tired and worn out, yeah.
Yeah, and so instead of going into work, I just tell my wife, I said, hey, I think I'm just going to go over to urgent care, just get this checked out, because sometimes I get strep throat or something.
Oh, yeah,
I just, want to get some antibiotics or if I need it. So I go over there, not even thinking that I have COVID.
Whoa.
And
You're like, this might be the flu or something like that.
Yeah, I even tell the lady, I'm like, oh, yeah, it's probably like some strep throat or something. She's like, okay, I'll do that. And she does that test. And then she's like, you know what? I think I'm going to do a COVID test too.
Wow.
And so then she did that, and then she came back, and I was expecting her to just be like, yeah, you got strep, like take a Z-Pack or something. And she comes back in, and she's like, you don't have strep, you got COVID.
Oh.
I was like, whoa.
Okay.
Like, dang, this is what everybody's been talking about.
That's crazy.
This is what everybody's been experiencing.
So what did you feel? Did you have loss of smell, taste, chills,
it was
diarrhea? I think that was one of them too, right?
Yeah, it was interesting. Like, it was just a sore throat, a headache, and then I was just really tired.
Okay.
Like I didn't have any other symptoms, and it was interesting because, like during that first day, like it got to the point where like I was really uncomfortable. Uncomfortable enough to go get it checked out because I was like, I know for a fact that I'm sick.
Something's wrong.
Like I got to get this checked out. But after that, it just stayed for like 5 days. Like it didn't get worse. It didn't get better.
Okay.
It's just like 5 days of this, and then after that, it slowly started getting better.
Interesting.
Yeah, really strange. But I had friends that, lost the sense of smell and sense of taste.
Yeah,
and,
I'd heard that also.
They had all of this digestive stuff, and but it's like for me, like no.
For me, the first day I had the sweats and chills. That one happened, and then I did have a little bit of diarrhea, and then like that was basically it. And I had recovered except for that weird cough, like real quick.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 days at the most. But I remember one thing that I did that was like kind of unacceptable was every day I would leave the house 2-3 times a day to go for a half an hour walk just to get some fresh air. And I mean like Simi Valley fresh air, but still
totally.
Not the same like circulating air inside.
Yeah. And then you'd also get some sunshine,
Some sunshine, yeah.
Totally,
And I truly believe that helped me get better faster. Now, if I ever came close to someone, I'd do the weird, that like full circle around, to the other side of the street.
Yeah, I remember walking out on the sidewalk in the neighborhood, and then people, I got COVID. They were doing the similar thing. And then they would go out into the street and walk around. And
okay.
So yeah, I remember people doing that.
Nobody else had it when I had it. So
yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely a weird time. And then once things kind of went back to normal, our numbers were just like at Core Health. Sorry, going back to it. Our numbers were just kind of in the tank.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I need to make some changes. It was 2.5 years at that point later. And I had said, you know what, I need to make some changes. I need to get my numbers back up. I joined leadership. I was like, this is going to help me like get my name out there in the community.
Yeah. And talk about leadership a little bit for people that don't know.
Oh, okay. So leadership is a thing here in Simi that the chamber puts on, and it's an incredible program. I know that's where we met.
Yeah,
that's where we met.
We are. Class of 2023.
In 2023.
Stronger
together. Yep.
That's right.
I have a friend that did leadership, and I think he graduated in 2015. And I wanted to get my name out into the community. Yeah. As me, not as my partner or someone else. And I reached out to my friend that did leadership in I think it was 2015, and I wanted to do it in 2019. And I think I missed it by like a couple weeks, like the registration for it. Yeah. Thankfully. And he's like, oh, yeah, let me reach out. And he reached out, and I remember it started like, I was like the last person on the list.
Wow. Yeah.
It started like 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Thankfully got my name in. They got me all set up, and they're, our chamber is absolutely amazing.
Oh, great. I love it.
And I had no idea what it was, what I was in for. I didn't know anybody. And then we went up to Arrowhead and did our thing. I was a snickerdoodle. I think you were a chocolate chip, right?
Yeah, chocolate chip.
Okay.
We can still be friends, though.
Oh,
We can
absolutely.
still- yeah.
One class stronger together, right?
Yeah, we need the chocolate chip and the snickerdoodles.
Did you hear that they changed it the next year? They didn't split the class up. We were the reasons that they didn't change it the next year, or that they changed
Oh, are you
it
serious?
the next year. Yeah, they didn't split class of 2024 up.
That's interesting. I just want to emphasize that this was like, because I remember that early morning. Like,
Oh yeah,
we
we
signed
were up
up
at like 4 a.m.
and we had to be up
on the
at 4.
bus.
We had to be there by 6.
It was 6. Okay.
So, yeah, we had to
I
be
remember
there.
it was dark. That's all I remember.
Oh, it was. It's like in late September.
Yep.
We're driving in, and we met at the train station.
That's
and so
right.
there's this empty parking lot except for like
Us
a
crazies,
handful of cars and this big, charter bus.
Charter bus. Yep.
And I get out and I'm looking around. I'm like, I don't know anybody.
I didn't know anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, I knew because of some of the stuff that we'd done with the community before.
Yeah.
I knew like 3 of our classmates before. And then, so I walked up and I'm like, oh, I at least know like 2 or 3 people. So I walk up, give my hugs, and then there we are off to Lake Arrowhead.
Yeah. Get in
with a group of 25 people that I have, like complete strangers for the most part.
Yep.
I hadn't even put like a face to the name for the people that I had emailed back and forth with to get registered for this thing.
Yep.
So I was like, you know what? Let's do it. I'm all in. You got me for 2 days, We get up there and they start talking about what the class is going to be and what it entails. And it was, then we did the ropes course and all of the like team stuff. And I was like, oh, this is fun. I did this like for, I've done like Tony Robbins and a few other like personal development stuff. So like for me, the ropes course was a ton of fun walking along the ropes. I was like, oh yeah, this is great. Okay, cool.
Oh yeah, I had a great time. It was fantastic.
It was so much fun. I remember climbing up do you remember when we had to climb up to like the really tall one and then jump off?
Oh yeah.
And
the single post, like the single pole that was probably like what, like 30, 40 feet?
About 40 or 50 feet, I think it was.
Yeah, something like that. And we had to climb. And the top of it was
only like this big.
Yeah,
and
like
you had
maybe
to get
8 inches across.
Yeah. And you had to get both feet on there and then jump off.
Stand up.
Stand up and then jump
with
off.
It moving around.
the whole post is doing this as you're trying to stand on it.
But like one of the most amazing things for me in that whole entire experience was that as each person was up trying to do that, like the whole entire group of everybody else was down there cheering them on.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like everybody wanted everybody to succeed.
Yeah, I remember as I was climbing up, the lady, I forget her name, the like leader of the person walking us through it.
Yeah, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but I know.
Yeah,
she was great.
Like,
she was great.
She was great. She's like, take it slow, enjoy the climb, feel it. And I'm like, why? I've done this so many times. Like I was a Boy Scout. We did rock climbing all the time. I want to get up there and jump off so I can do it again. I asked if I could do it again. She said no. But I did get to go to the other side again.
Oh, you did?
The one where you walked across it?
Yeah,
that one was
you climbed
fun.
up and then walked across.
Right. That one was a ton of fun. And yeah, it was an incredible thing. I remember we were on the ride home and I had made like 3 or 4 new friends.
Yeah.
Most of them were snickerdoodles.
I think you helped me with my first interaction with you that I remember is that you helped me with my harness.
Was that it?
Yeah, I needed to get my harness on.
Okay.
And like you were standing
I remember
there
helping like 5 or 6 people.
Yeah, totally. Like you're right there.
Because I was the example.
You were the
right?
example.
Yeah.
So they put it on you, and then like you're helping me.
I helped like 5 or 6 people.
Yeah,
so
that's the kind of guy you are, dude.
it was just a ton of fun.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love all of our classmates. Like it was. So getting back to what leadership is.
Yeah.
It was a program where it was the first Friday of every month with one exception. It lasted 10 months long. And then at the end of leadership, each day we would learn some integral part about Simi Valley.
Yep.
So they had a business day, they had a public school day, they had, there was an ethics day. That was my favorite day.
That was great, man. That was the last day. That was powerful.
It was powerful.
That was powerful because not only the content that we, that the experience that we were walked through.
Yeah.
But then it's also an opportunity for everybody to get up and share a speech of what this whole entire experience has been to them.
Man, our final class speech was amazing. Mm-hmm. Do you remember who gave it and what she said?
Oh, Heidi, yeah.
Yeah, she was amazing.
Her speech, I love Heidi.
Her speech was so good because she had every person in the class mixed into her speech.
Yeah.
With like a little note about that person.
It was so generous. Like it was
generous.
It was such a great way to just kind of like cap off the whole entire experience.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it was beautiful, man.
I absolutely love our class.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in our class, and it was weird too because I had heard that some classes before had like personality conflicts and I don't know about you, but I didn't experience that at all. Like we all felt like we had a greater purpose that we were working towards.
Yeah.
It was just an absolutely wonderful experience. Like we still have our group chat up and we still keep in contact. Mm-hmm. I remember when they were talking about how classes in the past had kept in contact.
Yeah.
And they were talking about these email chains. Do you remember that conversation?
Yep.
I was like, there is no way we're doing an email chain. I'm not looking through 20 emails to find, yes, okay, I'll be there. And the reply to alls, I'm like, I am not doing this. And so on the way home, that's when we came up with the idea of our Telegram chat.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Thankfully, that's the same chat that I use for all of my business stuff, too. So I made it super easy for me.
It just happened to work out that way.
You know what? I have all the chat app between WhatsApp and Discord and Telegram. Like, I have them all.
Yeah. Well, you got to stay connected.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so leadership is amazing. Chamber of Commerce, there's so much opportunity to get connected.
Absolutely.
And get known in the community in Simi Valley. How has that impacted your business? How has that impacted your business and then also impacted you as a person?
So it really kind of helped me get out there.
Yeah.
It made me realize that leaving the doors of Core Health was really what it took to get out there into the community. And I've never been the like super salesy, like, oh, you gotta come have a smoothie. We can't be friends if you don't have a smoothie. But it allowed me to leave the doors of Core Health, and throughout that time period of leadership, I came up with a new plan of what I was going to do, working with my mentor, what I was going to do to really grow Core Health back to what it was.
Yeah.
And our sales were pretty low at the time, and I just said, you know what, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to, every day, between this time and this time, I'm going to do what I can to get our name out there. And I came up with a plan with my mentor, and I started doing it back then. Actually, towards the end of leadership was when I started doing it. And our numbers have doubled since that that conversation with my mentor.
Yeah. That's amazing, man.
Thank you. Our goal was to get to $1,000 in sales a day. We're right at that like 700-800 right now, but we keep going by the plan. We'll get there. So
yeah, totally.
That's the goal.
Man.
Yeah.
There's so much value in that. You know?
Yeah.
Like just
absolutely.
really understanding the plan and sticking to it.
That's the hardest part, is the sticking to it.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. It's like you feel like something's not working or it feels a little too hard, and then you want to change it, or like you think of something new and you want to do that, but it's like, no, just stick with the plan. Just keep on going.
Keep going, yeah.
See what you learn, but
That's
just see how long you can make this thing go.
That's right. So our numbers were in that post-COVID era. Our numbers, we were at like $350 in sales a day.
Yeah.
Like they'd really tanked, and we were over 1,000 pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And I just said, you know what? I'm going to get out there, do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
So,
So what are just maybe one or two of the things that you have been doing that seem like they've been working?
it's a great question.
Yeah.
So my girlfriend and I, we started working together on our social media. She's
Super
way
good.
better at it than I am. And we started working on our social media. So part of what we are doing is every week we have a specialty menu. That's it right there.
Yeah. This
So this week is Halloween Town, beginning of October.
And so, like, who comes up? Because as I've been looking at your guys' menus, like, there's seasonal shakes on there,
Yeah,
And
1
it's,
week shakes.
and some okay.
It's
like, who
only up
comes-
for a week.
Who comes up with those?
Her and I work on it together. And we just talk to our customers like, hey, what's an idea that you think would be fun? We already have all of October planned, so
Because it seems like such a creative thing, like a creative.
It really
outlet
is. Yeah,
of, like,
they're-
it's not just that you
that's her.
have
That's
these
all her.
pre-done recipes, but it's like
No.
really, it's almost like you have like this palette that you could then take and you could
That's all
create
her.
whatever it is that you guys are thinking of.
That's all her.
So,
I'd love to take some credit, but in reality, it's all her. She puts so much work into it, and she's the one that works with our social media person, and they take the pictures, they put them all together and make it look amazing. Those are actually pictures of our shakes. We're not like pulling them
wow.
off the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we take them, post them, and like we'll make those shakes and then take the pictures, set them up, and then like put the posts together. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that we did. We
So
really
the first
started.
thing you have to do is find a good woman.
Well, work on your social media, right?
Yeah,
Like
no, totally.
I guess that was the first thing we did.
Yeah.
The other thing that I did was I set up like I told you, a daily schedule. So we do 3 posts a day, 5 stories a day. That's for the social media. That one's pretty simple because we generate them at the beginning of the week or at the end of the previous week and have them for the week. We just kind of post them throughout. As far as my like daily duties, what I had to do, I realized that a lot of places open up at 10.
Yeah.
So right around that like 9:30, 10 o'clock range, I leave every day from Core Health and I go around to the community and I go to the local businesses and I just drop off some coupons. Coupons for people.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to sell them anything. I'm just dropping off coupons and menus. And I'll leave a coupon at whatever business for everybody that works there.
Yeah.
And then if they're really nice and really receptive, I will offer to bring everybody a sample of what we do. So one of our clean energy drinks, we'll take them and put them like half size and bring them back to that business. And then we'll, I think I have some pictures. So here's some of the pictures of us setting them up.
Yeah.
I brought them to
Oh man.
an auto place, and then
That's awesome.
yeah, there you go. So that's us bringing some.
That's great.
Yeah, I can
So
send.
you're
all
out there.
these too.
You're out there trying to provide value. You're out there.
Yep.
Trying to build these relationships.
Yep.
Let
And
people know
then-
who you are.
and
But you're also
And
giving.
what we do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a certain number that I have to hit a day, and then a certain number of those, what we call tea drops that I need to do a week. So I want to do 5 tea drops a week. We're between 2 and 3 right now, and then my goal is to give out 150 of those coupons a day,
Wow.
and that'll take me a solid hour and a half, sometimes upwards of 2 hours. You do it every day, and
Yeah.
people start coming in. They're like, oh, I got this coupon. I said, where'd you get the coupon from? Oh, I got it from a friend of, I don't even know anymore.
That's awesome, man.
And then when people come in for their first time, I always, I tell them like, our goal is to be your healthy daily habit. And so I'll take one of these coupons and give it back to them and write like 3 days later that it expires. And because I want them to know what good nutrition feels like.
Yeah.
How they feel having a shake for breakfast versus cereal or waffles or pancakes or something like that.
Yeah.
I was just talking to someone today. She's like, oh, I've been having my clean energy drink every day for like a month, and I ran out, and my husband said they were too expensive, and it's been like a week, and I don't feel good.
Yeah.
And so like that feeling is is amazing. There's nothing that beats it.
Yeah. Yeah, to be making a difference in the
Yeah.
lives of people.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
There's two feelings that,
Yeah.
that are the best. The first one is when people walk in, we tell them how healthy it is. And I mention nothing about the taste except for our most popular flavors, which are birthday cake, chocolate peanut butter banana, and peanut butter praline crunch.
Yeah.
And I always say that one's my favorite because it is. And so I mention nothing of like the taste,
Yeah.
because I will make it for them and then I'll ask them to taste it right there. And watching their face after they taste it, nothing beats that. Because everybody's like, you've had those like healthy drinks before, right? Where you taste it and
It tastes healthy.
it tastes healthy. Yes.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And so for like when people come in, I tell them how healthy it is, and then they decide on their flavor and they get it and they're like, they have this face of like, they have this smile, this little smirk that they make. And that's the best part of my day.
That's awesome,
Yeah.
man. Because
That
in that
first time.
moment, it's like that can't be faked.
No,
Like,
that first like
authentic reaction of like,
And as an old poker player, like that first glimpse is the one that makes it. Sometimes I'll even tell people that that's my favorite part, and they'll try and make like a sour face, and they can't even do it. Yeah.
That's amazing, man. I love that. So what's in the future, man? Like
Future.
you've got your plan that you're carrying out. I'm sure there's going to be more of that.
Yeah.
But like, where do you see Core Health? You were talking about, continuing to build the
love it.
empire. So
You brought that
like
up.
where?
I want to have 12 locations open within the next 1 to 2 years.
Wow.
So we even have a sign in Core Health saying that. And that helps me keep my mind on that every day.
Yeah.
I want our sales to be, well, I want to hit 1,000 this year. So we're still working for that.
Yep.
And then once we get there, I want to get to 1,500 a day. And then after that, I don't know. Like those are the immediate goals, like 12 locations in the next 1 to 2 years. And so we have 4 now.
Yeah.
And then just ramping our sales back up. Yeah. So.
And so then, like, kind of, what are you looking at as who Matt needs to be in order to accomplish that?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
So I'm currently reading a book. It's called the 10X Rule. It's by Grant Cardone.
Love Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
He's great. The first time I ever saw that guy, man, it was that TV show that he did, where Undercover Billionaire.
I don't know. I
No?
haven't watched it.
Oh, check that
I don't
out.
watch a lot of TV. I'm sorry.
Check that out. Check that out, dude. Like, I think I watched it on Discovery Plus.
Okay.
I had just been like searching for something and to watch that had something to do with business.
Okay.
And I see this show, like Undercover Billionaire, and I'm like, what? And it's like this Grant Cardone guy. I was like, I've seen that guy, but I don't know. Like,
I don't know.
Seems like,
seems very salesy.
you know, yeah. So I start watching it, man, and it follows 3 billionaires as they give up all of their contacts, all of their just everything, move to another city that they don't know anybody. They're given a cell phone, they're given a junker car, and they have like 90 days to build a $1 million business.
Oh, wow.
You know, like I'm watching these 3 people trying to do this, and they're all given those things, but then they're also given a $100 bill. And as the other 2 people that were in this episode, it's the second season, as the other 2 people in this season, they were holding on to that $100 and just like trying to make it last as long as they could, you know. But they were holding on to it as this was their lifeline, you know. And then they cut to Grant Cardone, and he holds up that $100, and he's like, "This $100, I'm not even going to use it."
Yeah.
And he folds it up and he puts it in his pocket.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, what is this guy going to do?
Yeah.
And he starts talking about the way that he sees it. And he doesn't see, like, it's not about the money, but it's about who has the money.
Yeah.
You know, it's about the relationships.
That's
He's
right.
like, I'm going to get there. And, like, I'm not going to try to be saving money. It's like, I'm going to get there and I'm going to meet the movers and shakers of of the city.
The city, yeah.
And like start developing these relationships so that I could start making things happen.
Yeah.
And then to watch him actually follow through and do that, like, well,
That's kind of what he talks about in the book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like these other two were, sleeping in their car, and they were, begging for meals, and they were just trying to like scrape stuff together. Like where he goes into town, he goes over to an RV dealer, ends up talking the RV dealer into letting him stay in one of his RVs for free.
Whoa.
The RV dealer gives him a bunch of money, so, like $100 credit at a restaurant so that he could go and eat.
Nice.
And then he sees that the RV dealer is also trying to sell like a Jeep.
Okay.
And so he's like, I'm going to sell this junker that the producers gave me.
Okay.
And then he talked to the RV guy, and he's like, well, what if I sell that Jeep for you? And he's like, yeah, like you could sell that Jeep for me.
Okay.
And he's like, okay, I won't put more than 10 miles a day on it. And so then he starts driving that Jeep, sells the other one. Within a day, he's got a place to stay. He's made $1,500 off the sale of the junker car.
Whoa, okay.
He's got a practically almost brand new Jeep that he's now driving around to these meetings as he's meeting other business owners. And I'm just like this guy, he sees things differently than the rest of people.
Absolutely.
And like I ended up fast forwarding through the other people's segments and just watching his.
Yeah.
And then after that, like I really got into his sales curriculum and stuff like that. And like, I went out to Florida a handful of times to, some of the events that they have out there.
Yeah.
But like, fantastic, dude. So so 10X.
So I'm reading the 10X rule. And what I love about it is when someone is trying to give me criticism, my personality is to always like, I don't want to say lash out, but talk back.
Okay.
Right. So like if you talk to personal trainers I've had in the past, like they're like, do your push-ups, and I'm like, you do them. That's just my personality. What I love about this book specifically is I really feel like it's kind of that level, but as far as marketing goes, and I feel like I'm being yelled at, but I can't yell back because it's just a book. So I'm able to take that and like look at myself in the mirror, and then really take that and push it forward. So today I went out and I did my invites. Didn't get any tea drops set up, but I was able to get those invites done, and reach out. We'll see who comes in tomorrow. That's the exciting part.
Yeah. You just got to do the work.
That's right. Doing the work.
Got to do the work.
Doing the steps. Yeah.
Just do it. Do the hard stuff.
The more no's you get, the better you do.
Yeah, no's are. That's what it's almost like that's what you should get.
I'm looking for the no's.
That's what you want to get.
I used to be on a plan to get 20 no's a day.
Yeah,
and I would do it until and then by the end of the day, I remember I was at the Target across the street from us, and I was at like 18 no's for the day, like giving out these coupons. It was like a new thing that I was trying, and I was at like 18, but everybody was saying, "Oh yeah, thank you."
You're like, dang it! Where's my nose?
Yeah. So I'm there at like 6:30 at night, like just trying to get these last two no's, and I was there for like half an hour giving out coupons, trying to get a no, until eventually I saw two friends, and I'm like, please just say no. They're like, Matt, we know you. I'm like, I know, but I need two no's.
Yeah.
I was hungry at the time too, so I'm like, nope, not getting dinner until I get these last two no's. Yeah. It's
dedication, man.
Dedication. Sometimes it's what it takes. Yeah.
You
never know what those last two no's are going to do,
No, you never do, man.
Or those last few yeses, that too, yeah.
Yeah. I remember having I studied guitar when I was younger, a teenager, and I had a teacher, and I asked him, I said, how long should I practice? And he said, you keep on practicing until you don't want to practice again. And then you do whatever it is that you were doing 10 more times.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I was like, okay.
Hey,
that makes sense.
In our business, I remember being trained this on stage once. He asked his mentor, how long do I need to work for? He goes, you work until you're happy with your business. And then you plan to lose 30% of it, and that's when you're done. Well, you work until you're happy with 30% of what your business is.
Yeah.
If your business fell 30%, that's what you have to be happy with. I think that I said it right. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to unpack it. Let me see.
So you work
So you work until
when your business
fine
settles.
If
It's at
happen.
30%. Yeah.
So not like, okay.
That's when he was told he could retire.
So if you lose, okay, so you build up your business to the point where if it fell to 30% of what it is, then that's what you would be content with.
Yeah.
So,
But then you just fall in love with meeting new people and helping people get results that at that point.
Totally, man. And like, I think that's, that gets to what it is that motivates people.
Absolutely.
Like, is it building the business? Is it helping people? And I don't think that it needs to be one thing.
It can be many things.
I think it can be many things, but just being aware of that.
For me, what motivates me nowadays are there are two things that motivate me. I want to hear the next success story of someone who lost 40 pounds, or I helped my mom lose 80 pounds, right?
Wow.
That's the first thing that motivates me.
Yeah.
I have a friend that recently lost 60 pounds, and his doctor cut him out of all but 2 of his medications.
That's amazing.
So
it's life-changing.
Absolutely. So that's the one that really drives me. And then the other thing that drives me is that first taste. That look. Look. That's when people come in and it's their first time, and I know that I'm thinking oh, you're in for a treat, but I'm going to tell you this thing is healthy.
Yeah.
And we even listed out on our menu what's inside. And people look at it and they're so ready for something that tastes
just
healthy.
This nasty, thing that's going to be tough to
take down. Yeah.
Totally.
And that first sip always just changes everything for people.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That's great, dude.
Yeah.
Do you ever just take out your camera and just
sometimes sometimes I check our Instagram, right? My favorite one for the Instagram are the kids. Oh, yeah. Because they don't hide anything back. You know it. You have 3 of them, right?
Oh, it's like unfiltered truth.
Absolutely. If you have a kid come in and they like it, they're coming back for sure.
Yeah.
Right? Because they love the taste, and they don't even know it's good for them, right? And the parents are happy that the kids are having something healthy.
Yeah.
And if I know a kid likes it, I'm good.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's exciting. That's what I work for.
Yeah.
Are those 2 things.
That's what makes it worth it, man.
Absolutely.
That's what makes it worth it. And it makes total sense, dude, because that's I've seen that in you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, since I first met you.
2022, right?
Yeah, the end of 2022, man. September 23rd. I remember that.
Was it September 23rd?
I remember that it was the 23rd because there was 23 of us and we were the class of 23.
Oh my gosh.
So September 23rd was the day that we all met each other.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Whoa. 23 of us on the bus, right? Because I know 2 other people drove up separately, right?
23 people in the class.
Oh.
So yeah, the class didn't graduate with 23 people. There were some people that didn't make it.
We had, I think, 3 people that didn't end up making it, but then we gained 1.
Yeah, we gained Maggie.
Yeah.
But when we started off.
Yeah, when we started off,
it was 23.
That's amazing. I didn't even realize that at all.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was fun, man. It was super fun.
It was such an amazing experience.
Yeah.
I recommend anybody that lives in Simi Valley take leadership.
Yes, definitely. So Matt, anybody that wants to visit Core Health or find Core Health on social media, where is it? Let us know how we could.
Oh, for sure. So we're Core Health Simi, CORE Health SIMI. That's our Instagram handle. We had a Facebook, but I accidentally locked myself out of it.
I hear that all the time. I do.
So, we're on Instagram. Our address is 2824 Cochrane Street here in Simi Valley, 93065. And, just come on by. We're a place where friends and family meet for good nutrition.
Awesome.
It's a lot of fun.
Awesome.
And we have fun there, too.
Oh, I bet.
It's very much like you've been there. So it's very much like a healthy version of Cheers. Anybody who's old enough to know that show.
Yeah, I loved that. I love that show.
Yeah, so healthy version. Yeah.
Awesome.
People come in, we talk about family, friends, kids. Yeah,
Yeah. So you get to know the people that are coming in.
very much so. Yeah.
Build relationships.
Most people
with
that
them.
come in, I could tell you name, age, significant other, kids, life stories most of the time. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Pretty
awesome,
exciting.
man.
It's so much fun.
Oh, that's
We
great.
we have a ton of fun there for sure.
So everybody go check out Matt. Check out Matt
Thank you.
Core Health. And
This was fun.
Thanks so much for coming
Thank you.
out, Matt.
I was
appreciate it, man.
I've been telling everybody about it today. So
awesome,
I was hoping
dude.
it was live so I could
Awesome. Yeah.
could share it with people.
No, we'll have you back when we
Do the live
get
one.
the live one up.
I love it.
Yeah. But awesome, man. Well, thanks, brother.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. That was fun.